So you may have seen that Bella Hadid, the Palestinian model, was in the news recently for doing a campaign celebrating one of the 1972 Munich Olympics sneakers, trainers, in a campaign with Adidas, which was very bizarre given that 1972, the Olympics, was the year in which the Israeli athletes were slaughtered by pro-Palestinian terrorists. But nevertheless, I came across a clip recently of the talk show host Bill Maher talking about Bella Hadid and her anti-Israel ways, and I thought I'd share it with you because it's rather amusing and somewhat poignant. Have a watch.
I just want to say, in February of this year, a Hamas court ruled that an unmarried woman cannot travel in Gaza without the permission of a male guardian. Really? That's where the progressives are. Bella Hadid and her friends would run screaming to Tel Aviv if they had to live in Gaza for one day. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, is I think what she chanted with people. That is a PLO slogan that means Israel from the river to the sea, is that there will be no more Israel.
They were about to form a government that included the Arab Party.
Correct.
And once you're part of the government, if they need your 3 votes in the Knesset to get to 61,
which no apartheid state ever did. An apartheid we think of as South Africa, which is the white people in Britain and Holland who never had any claim to the land or any history there, came thousands of years later and just took it over. That's a little different. And then they kept it an apartheid state because they just wanted the power. The Israelis, they have made mistakes, but it's an apartheid state because they keep getting attacked. If they don't keep a tight lid on this, they get killed. That seems like something different.
Yeah, there's 2 really important points there that Bill made, for me, that are really important to point out. Number one is, when people use these words like apartheid state, it's a colonized state, let's decolonize Palestine, he's exactly right. You use that language and it might be appropriate when you talk about actual colonizers, people from different continents coming to the land. The Jewish people are the original indigenous, ancient, historical people who never ever gave up their connections to that land, never lost a presence in that land, by the way. You should know, by the way, that the Arab population, first of all, only really began, you had with the Islamic conquest in the 7th century, many centuries after the Jews had already been there and had their state, which was then dismantled by the Romans, and then they were exiled from their land. But even when you start to have the more modern population of Arabs, the rising population that we now see a result of today, that started and grew a lot in the 1800s, when you had Jews going back to the land, returning to the land, when they now had more of an agency to do so. And then Arabs started coming to that land because they saw there was more opportunity and more infrastructure that the Jews were building. Just a side point to remember, by the way. But the key point is that far from it being about apartheid and colonizers, the Jews are the original inhabitants, the original indigenous people of that land. This is their land. This is the Jewish people's homeland. It's Judea. The Jews are from Judea, and that somehow is settlements and it's occupation. I mean, it's absurd. Everything, truth and falsehood, have switched. It is the Arabs who are the foreign occupiers, the people who descend from such foreign occupiers, and are not the ones indigenous to this land. You know, it's like they've done a brilliant PR campaign of turning everything on its head. But the second point is that he said, and Bill Maher makes this point, he said, you know, people talk about apartheid when they talk about the fact that there are checkpoints, or about the fact that Israel has to have a blockade in Gaza. As Bill rightly says, all these things that exist are not there because Israel's choosing to be difficult. It's basic need of Israel in order to survive, in order to protect her security. You have to have checkpoints to make sure that people who vast majority support Hamas and want Israel gone and hate the Jews, you've got to check that they're not carrying weapons. I mean, we're not allowed to do that. That is somehow evil. What are you saying? Israel leaves Gaza as a gesture for peace, which was clearly a terrible mistake. And then Hamas start firing rockets into Israel. They win an election. So Israel says, well, we have to start censoring what comes in. Oh, no, that's terrible. You can't do that, Israel. As Bill Maher's saying, every single thing they do in order to protect themselves, just like in this Gaza war now, nope, it's genocide. Genocide, apartheid, colonization, security checkpoints are humiliating. You're basically saying that every single thing that Israel does for basic security measures is evil. And what you're really saying, therefore, is the Jews can't exist. That's all you're saying. Can you not just be a bit more honest about it? We just appreciate a bit more honesty. Don't try and hide behind virtue. Be open about what you really want. And this is also why we as Jews have to stop being so intimidated by these accusations, feeling like we always have to justify, be so apologetic when they claim genocide, when it was genocide that was waged against us. Same with all these accusations. I mean, the fact that you could have an Al Jazeera journalist in Gaza decrying Israel's terrible genocidal war in Gaza. Meanwhile, he was holding hostages, imprisoning them as slaves. It's absurd. But the key point is, we mustn't fall for or be intimidated by the libels, the slander, because it's all nonsense. And they've done a brilliant PR campaign, but it's time to turn the tide. Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.